Alright, so it's been a really long time since I put out the last Dominion League video on this channel, and even longer since the last actual Dominion League event happened. Now, finally, I have the free time to actually be able to edit together stuff, try to upload more videos to this channel. So hopefully for this summer, I'm going to try to keep a somewhat consistent schedule. I really don't know how it's going to go, or what type of content I'm even going to do, but I have a few things in mind so far, so I'll probably just kind of do a few of those and see where it goes from there. But anyway, the purpose of this video is to talk about the Game 1 video I uploaded and prepare y'all for the Game 2 video I'm going to upload soon. In total, we played 3 full games and the first event, and I have my POV from all 3 of them, of course, but I only have a second-person POV from just the first game. I really do wish I could have incorporated that footage into the first game video, because for every single other game, the second POV GoPro camera didn't record video, but instead just took a photo every 5 seconds, like a time lapse. And so I have several folders filled with thousands of pictures and only one video. So, that's a bust. But I still, of course, do have my footage that I intend to use so that I can show you all games 2 and 3. It just won't be as cool as it could have been with multiple POVs or potentially a dedicated non-player cameraman. Anyways, this first game was crazy. All 3 were loads of fun, but there was something very experimental about the first game that made it super unexpected. And that crazy flag take and then take back play that happened as play the game was absolutely insane. I probably will make a dedicated video with POV from both sides of that because it was just such a masterfully well-coordinated play. That is exactly the type of high-level play that this type of event tried to encourage, and I hope that we can see that again in future events when those happen. So, a few of the biggest takeaways from the event were the absolute massive advantage that the castle is, and we really got a much better idea of the pace of the game, and how active the players were, and generally how much stuff was happening throughout the course. In the first game, the castle team won by kind of a landslide. There were some really interesting parts of the middle of the game, but after a few flag captures back and forth, basically all the flags went into the castle, and when the gate doors got shut, they kind of just stayed there until the end of the round. Also, this one is perhaps a bit more on me, but a part of what made the castle so hard to work around is the fact that my castle gate really sucked. It was constructed essentially by making a bunch of very simple bamboo and cardboard spears, like you'd make vanguards, and then taping them together and tying them with paracord in a grid shape to work as a castle gate. But even with some support strings trying to hold the gate up, it just sagged so badly when it wasn't tied shut that for the second game we ended up tearing it off completely and just playing with an empty porthole. It really is quite a shame because the gate fighting interaction and the behaviors from both sides are a very large part of the game, and they are part of exactly what gives the defenders such a strong advantage and what is supposed to then be countered by the fact that they have this finite pool of lives that they're trying to protect. Speaking of the finite number of lives, basically the way we estimated how big a pool of lives to give the defending team was by multiplying some random constant by how many players there were on each team. So for the first game, we just multiplied 4 defending players by 7 lives per player, giving the whole team a total pool of 28 lives for the 4 of them to share. However, the defending team in Game 1 only had 11 deaths. And I won't spoil the next 2 games, but let's just say that for future events, we shall be greatly decreasing the life pool because while there was a lot of constant fighting, people really didn't put their lives on the line to fight that much until something very important was happening. So for a lot of the game, it was just pressuring people back and forth on either side rather than actual killing because it was just never that worth it for either team to stick their necks out like that. So in the second game, we again lowered the life pool size, but it still may have been a bit too high. I think, honestly, for future games, we might literally want to do something like only 10 lives for the defending team regardless of the number of players. This would put a ton of pressure on them to try to keep their comrades alive and to try to stay in the game. I believe higher levels of pressures like this lead to, well, one of 2 things. Either people getting more and more annoyed and then playing worse because they're just mad, or greater and greater levels of creativity and ingenuity in terms of strategy and tactics. The whole point of this event was to try to give both teams the best playground possible. for them to each to try to utilize as high a level of strategy against each other as possible, and to make the game as high level and interesting, both for the players but the viewers as well. So yeah, basically the whole event was a smash hit. The first game was amazing. A couple of sort of major balancing things will have to be done before future events, and also rebuilding the entire castle gate. But the event itself was amazing, and everyone really enjoyed it. You should hope to see the next Dominion League game out sometime around a week after this is posted, and then the next one a week after that. I might try to do some different things with the music, and especially the kill feed, which I really thought was going to be cool, but it ended up being way more work than it seemed worth. Maybe if the event was a bit different, if there were more people to keep track of, or perhaps if the kill pool was smaller, so the kills off screen really mattered, then I would do it. However, when I do, it will have to be done differently and look much better, because I really think it looks quite lackluster and deserves a redesign eventually. Besides the other two games, also be on the lookout for a statistics video, which I suppose will have to come after all three games are out. I compiled down the list of kills and deaths, and I now have KDR values for each player, and stats describing which class is the best and which is the worst, both in terms of overall kills and also KDR. The higher level of analysis that I haven't yet done but want to is to find KDR values both not only between players, so what the average player's chances of winning a fight between a different player is, but also between classes, just to show something like what I imagine would be sort of a rock, paper, scissors game, where Knight class generally wins against a Vanguard class, but then the Vanguard class generally wins against the Scout class, and maybe that ends up showing some sort of cyclical behavior between the classes, or maybe it just ends up showing that Knight class dominates. I don't know. Our pool size is large. We do have a lot of data, but not that large. And so I think in multiple events, especially with more different people, we would be able to see more sides of how certain classes are played, and we get better data. So, I can do some preliminary analysis, but we just need more information to really show things clearly. And lastly, but most importantly, I do want to do another Dominion League event again this summer. If there is still interest in such an event, I would love to make it happen and run it back. Hopefully with some of the same people, but also with a few people who couldn't make it because, well, for a few different reasons, one of which is it was very late in the summer, and so a few people that I knew well had already gone to college, or people who wanted to see how the first one went before they then went themselves. Now, with 3 games, I have proof the game mode works, and is a ton of fun. So, more people joining in would be amazing. I will try to make the sign-up process a bit more formal this time. Perhaps I will literally put out a form that people can fill out and then email to me that would give me information about each of the players before they actually show up. In fact, I've been thinking about this. I might actually make the form and then make a tutorial video of how to fill it out with my information, and then I'll email it to myself as a way of showing people who might want to join how they would do the form themselves. Anyways, that's about it for now. Watch out for a Game 2 video coming soon, and a few more after that. I hope you all have a great summer, and that Adventures in Cardboard, specifically Dominion League, is a part of that. See you then!